Aye. Thank you. We're going to do the minutes. Motion for the consent calendar for the minutes. We have a motion for favorable, and we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda is Warwick Cove dredge project. It's item number 1, 2026-070. However, before we get into this, there's just a couple of announcements that I want to make. One of them is on 2026-072, stenographer services from the legislative department. In addition to 11 other items, I think it is 11 in this bid package, this item is also showing a contract renewal on July 1st, 2025. And everyone knows how that's an issue with me and has been for a long time. So these items that we have this evening, at least the majority of them, I believe, is the same as what has occurred with this. Initially, the legislative department has never come before the city council for this item. This is for our stenographer. Our budget has always been $1,800. It's under 25, so it's never come to us. We increased it this year to $3,600 because we've had a fair amount of public hearings far beyond what we've ever had. We could not approve that here until it passed the budget. And that's what we have with the majority of these items that are late in coming to us for approval tonight is, I believe the majority of them, if not all of them, are budget related or MPAs. However, going forward, there's no more reasons for coming to us late. If it's late, it's late, and I will be making a motion to hold. The other thing is there is times when there is items not included in our bid package. As an example, an item that says we received 3 bids and we made this decision to go with this bidder. But I don't have a copy of those 3 bids. We don't have them in our binders. I'm not going to keep going down the same road. If those items that we need to review these requests are not in the binder, I am going to make a motion to hold. So just so everybody's clear, we don't have to continue talking about this. So
can I interject on that? Just so we're clear, wherever the clerk's office receives goes
Sure.
into the binder. So if I don't receive it, it doesn't make it into the binder. Okay.
got it. I
Okay.
understand, and that's
Just want to make
fine.
sure that it's clear that we put in everything that we receive.
That's fine. Thank you for that, Madam Clerk. But for whatever reason, if we don't have the information in our binder, we're not going to discuss it. I'm not pointing the finger or putting blame on anyone. I'm just saying what's going to happen or not happen. All right. Warwick Cove dredge project. State your name for the record, please.
Hi, Tom Kravitz, City Planning Director.
Hello, Director.
Hi. As you know, the city had received $3 million to execute this project, which is the dredging of Warwick Cove. We'd like to engage the Nature Conservancy. We have, to my right, Megan DePreet, the Chief of Planning and Development from DEM. She's here to answer a question if you should have one, but they support and recommend that the city utilize the Nature Conservancy. And in the packet, you have, their scope of work, their anticipated schedule. We're going to have to probably kick the schedule back a little bit based on when we're getting this approved, but it's pretty straightforward. I have a lot of confidence in the TNC, and One of the things you may have noticed in their scope of work is they do hold the potential for a public hearing because there's going to be some replenishment. Where we execute the replenishment's important because, as they say, it'll keep the cost down. So I would imagine that that's a discussion we'll make sure that you're engaged with as we identify areas to replenish from this spot to widen the channel. I really don't have much else to say. It's pretty self-explanatory, everything that's in here. But if you had any questions, I'll try to answer them, or Megan.
If members of the committee, if you don't mind, I would like to hear from Mr. Preet on whatever she has to present to us before we start digging in.
No
Okay,
objections.
okay, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well, thank you.
My name is Megan DePreet. I am the chief or the manager of the program at Rhode Island DEM that is referred to as the Office of Planning and Development. One of the opportunities we have here is that, frankly, there was money put into the budget, into the state budget last year to dredge a portion of Warwick Cove. And we've got a lot of great relationships with the city of Warwick. We've done a number of programs together. So we had confidence at DEM that working closely with the city would be the best, most efficient way to advance the project. We're from the government and we're here to help. So we could certainly run this through DEM. Everything takes a lot longer. And so with the confidence in the team here in the city, we suggested working directly, as a pass-through program to the city so the city could administer the program. We certainly have worked, I've personally worked with the Nature Conservancy on a number of projects, including a similar project of dredge work in the Providence River. They're known for being very conservation-minded, looking at natural resiliency, building opportunities every step of the way. And this project, I certainly would assume, would be the very same.
Well, I certainly want to thank you for that. And this is something that has certainly been on the to-do list for a very long time. I remember probably back in 2014-ish or so, there was a meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers about getting something done with that, and kind of things just got put back on the back burner and didn't happen. This dredging, and it was a little difficult for me to see in the schematic that we have, but as I'm coming from the south into Warwick Cove, I'm assuming that there's a fair amount of this dredging is scheduled to take place right at that sandbar coming off Oakland Beach.
That is the presumption, yes. It really gets very narrow in that section entering the cove just before the boat ramp. And some of that, if you look at aerial photographs, you can see that it moves a bit, which makes it harder to predict exactly where to travel. Even in my kayak, I got beached there a couple times.
Sure. I'm a boater, so I boated through there 20-some years and continue to do so. So it's definitely a hazard. And this is certainly very welcome that it's going to be taking place. I did reach out to CRMC earlier today. I made a late call to your office and just got a voicemail, but I didn't know anything about this Nature Conservancy. And I see it in our documents that this company is held in high regard with DEM and with CRMC. These things, before I can vote on a $3 million project, I need to hear it myself. And the reports came back with a very good relationship with this company over the years. So I'm very comfortable with that. One thing I am concerned with, and it's not going to necessarily have an impact on this particular project, but for us as a city going down the road, is a lot of what has to be taken out of there now has come from across the way. And the silt and whatever just keeps coming in, and you can move it and take it and do whatever you want. But this is something that it's probably going to require ongoing maintenance over the years, every 5 years or so, I think initially was the plan. So I think from the city perspective, that's something that we're going to want to follow up on going forward, because we don't want to be spending $3 million now to see we have another problem in 5 or 6 years from now.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly some coordination with the harbor master will be important. And I know that's already on the radar. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming. Any questions from members of the committee for either Mr. Preet or from Director Kravitz? Any questions from members of the council? Do you have any questions from members of the council? Do we have any comments from members of the public?
Is it on? Oh, now it's on. Donna Travis, Ward 6.
Welcome back, Councilwoman.
Yes, well, Mr. President, members of the council, it's very nice to be here. I want to thank Mr. Preet for being here also. Thank you for that information. This is a long time coming. Ed knows I've been working with the Warwick Cove as a special place. We have 39 miles of coastline, and we should be protecting every inch of it, whether it's, restoring the dunes somewhere, doing dredging, all of it should be done, and everybody should get involved in it to make sure that the 39 miles of coastline is preserved for the future. And I mean, my concern right now is, and I'm sure Mr. Preet knows, the jetty that we have, that last jetty we got off of Oakland Beach, the sand comes over that and it goes and it covers the boat ramp. I was told it was going to do that by a little old fisherman 25 years ago when we put the boat ramp in. The Army Corps of Engineers stood there at a public meeting and said that they would dredge it every 5 years. They'd never been out there. All this time, never came out. Now, I'm hoping that if you're dredging right there, maybe we could dredge along that jetty and at least save another 10 or 20 years and stop the sand from coming. It's going to come back. It's still going to come back. But if we're right there dredging now, and we can at least dredge near the jetty and get rid of some of that that's coming over, that'll give us a few years of not having to shovel, because the public works has to shovel all that sand off the boat ramp. And that's not safe for people who are putting the boats in either. Everybody was very proud all that time ago. That was the first handicapped boat ramp in the state of Rhode Island. And we want to keep it nice. It's used every day. So on the weekends, you can't believe how many people are down there. So I'm just here to say I support it. I've been yelling about dredging both Brushneck Cove and Warwick Cove. And I always supported anything along the coastline. So if we could work on that, I'll still be vocal while we're doing it. So I'm not going away. So hopefully we'll get it done and we'll get it done right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from members of the public? Do we have any questions or comments from members of the public? Director Kravitz, I do have just a couple of questions. On page 2 of 8 in the presentation, it says the grantee shall maintain financial management systems that include standard accounting practices, official internal controls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Who is going to be doing that?
Well, that'll be a collaboration between the TNC, who will be working with the contractors to develop the billing, and my staff, who will be processing those bills for payment. So it's going to be both kind of, I think, my department, Dean with me is very good, and the TNC staff.
So there is currently a plan in place for dealing with this. Okay. And we have, in no event shall the total obligation of DEM for all payments to guarantee us under this agreement exceed the budget, the project budget. First question is, how certain is everybody that this 3 million isn't going to turn into a 4 million?
Yeah, that's the TNC's job, and they're good at that. They've done 20 projects in 10 years, I read, and they're going to vet that out. What's a big determining factor in that is where we make the deposits of the material that's dredged. So we don't have the answer right now, but we know that we cannot go back to them for anything more than 3 million, or else we'll be voiding this contract. So that's kind of front and center.
I'm asking because I kind of heard that same thing about other things.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So I think that is all that I have on this. Yeah, I believe that's all I have. Any other questions from members of the committee? Okay. I need a motion, please. I'm sorry. No, we're all set for now. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, Sal, I'm sorry. Did you have, oh, I didn't see the light. Now I see the light.
Well, as
Councilman Ruiz.
just as Councilman Travis said, if the Army Corps of Engineers, said that they would maintain it every 5 years and they haven't done it, why aren't they held accountable? Okay, I don't know why we just have to keep spending money on projects that, and like you said, 3 million, it's going to be 4 million, and we all know it. So why aren't the people that claim responsibility to maintain certain things, why aren't they held accountable? Why aren't we doing anything about it? And this is what aggravates me. That's all I got.
And that's good questions too. Thank you. Item number 2, Munis support and update licensing 2026-063, found on page 18.
Good evening, Phil Carlucci, IT Director. This is a request under City Ordinance 56-6 to award the Munis software maintenance contract to Tyler Technologies in the amount of $281,174.74. This represents about an 8% increase over the previous year's expense. This is one of those that unfortunately fits into the category of coming to the City Council late. I do apologize about that, but for whatever reason, we requested the quotes for both the educational portion from Tyler as well as the software maintenance. The educational portion was presented, I believe, 4 weeks ago. They sent it to me immediately. This one was received on May 21st when I wrote this up, and that's how it comes to you late.
Mm-hmm. So going forward, or in current time, what policy do you have in place for ensuring that these bid requests are going to come to us timely?
We always try to get them to you well in advance, but the kind of the dichotomy of this is I have to chase after vendors more fervently than I already do to allow us to give them money. And in all honesty, I just don't see that as making a lot of sense.
Wow.
We do request so that they can never claim that we never asked them for it. We ask for it in plenty of time, but there's one that won't reach the City Council that just blew me away, that our software license expires July 1st. On the portal, it's only a few $100s, but on the portal it says invoice date August 1st. Why a company would designate 30 days after the money's due for when they're going to invoice it baffles me, unless they're a benevolent society. Other than that, I have no idea. We do ask for it. We try to get this here as quickly as possible. We certainly write them up the day we get the quote. And as I think I've mentioned before, we don't care for the alternative, and that's me coming before City Council and saying, I'm going to need about 300,000, trying to guess a higher enough number to cover it. So that's the best we can do.
Yeah. Now, these vendors that have, for whatever reason, have not been providing you with the invoicing that you need. Are these all sole source providers?
I don't want to, I can certainly, comes to mind, several of them are. There's one that we get for our e-permitting online. That one is horrendously late on a regular basis. They are dictated by the state. Certainly Tyler is a sole source. The majority of them, yes. And I don't want to make it sound like it's rampant. We have several that just tend not to be diligent about sending us the quotes, and others that are very good about it.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee? Members of the council? Sal? Sorry, Councilman DeLuise, you all set? Any questions, comments from members of the public? Do we have any questions or comments from members of the public?
I do want to
Hearing
put
none.
one
Sir.
thing on record, if I could, sir. As I've mentioned before, this is for our ERP system. We run on premise. We run it on servers here. They are migrating, like everyone else, to a cloud solution, which is exceedingly expensive compared to this. Most recently, one of my staff, Chris, was at a conference and has opened up a dialogue with them. What we're trying to do is see if they won't gradually add in the money. So if it's, a doubling, we take a third of the increase first year, a third the second, another third the second year, and another third the third. So we have a 3-year build-up to what's going to be an extremely expensive migration. We haven't gotten any further than the opening discussions with the salespeople, but I did want to put it on the record that we are trying to negotiate something.
Okay, thank you. Good luck with that. Item number 3, 2026-036A, medical supplies and medications, found on page 24.
Good evening, Assistant Chief Jason Umbenhauer from the Fire Department. Fire Department reviewed bid 2026-036, medical supplies and medications for EMS and police. 3 vendors submitted bids. The Fire Department's recommending the bid be awarded to 2 vendors, Boundtree Medical and Life Assist Incorporated. This is we're requesting a 1-year bid for an amount not to exceed $140,000.
Sir.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
My only question is, on the form, the resolution form, it says medical supplies and medications for EMS and police. And then under the contract award, $140,000 fire only.
Yeah, you'll see the police later on. I believe their item, they have a smaller amount that they usually just go for medications and a smaller amount of gloves. I believe their item 16 would be the BE side of that.
He pointed out later on we have the police, but it's just the way it was worded. I caught it. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So to clarify, it should be medical supplies and medications for EMS, not police.
Well, the name of the bid is EMS and police because we get a pretty good discount because of the volume that the fire department uses in medical supplies and medications. So the police then jump onto that bid and use that amount for their own purposes. So the police will come to you for some medications that they use, like Narcan and gloves and personal protective equipment. They will get a better price off of our bid specifications because the vendors bid in our volume instead of their low volume.
So does that mean you're not sharing with them?
We share with them all we could.
Okay. Chief, I want to point out too, in going through this, that you have reduced your budget from last year by about 20 grand, right?
Correct.
So I wanted to, I think you're being bashful about it, but I saw it, so I'll point it out. And I would assume it's as a result of what your expenses were for last year. They were less than what you anticipated, right?
The expenses in general, medical supplies have stabilized a little bit since COVID. So we're a little bit we can be a little more conservative with our estimates. We're not so before because of the uncertainty. But they've stabilized for the most part over the year, so we can better guess what we're going to use within the year.
And as I said earlier, this is showing a late bid. I'm assuming that's because of budget issues as well, right?
Correct.
The other thing, and do whatever you got to do to not send us 75 pages of Band-Aids and Q-tips, and I'm being facetious, but all we need is 20 to 25 of your most commonly used stuff. We don't need 75 pages, and then I get yelled at because we're making you waste paper. No, we're not.
I understand, and I know we kind of go through this every year, but we talk to the vendors regularly on this issue. They promise us that our pricing would be much, much better if we itemize this way, because they take this to the manufacturers, and then the manufacturers bid each item individually. So if we just go for a straight 20% off your list price, we're getting 20% off. They'll go to a manufacturer, especially with something we buy large volumes of, like, say, gloves. Protective, like medical gloves, where we buy, hundreds of thousands of cases of them a year, and they'll get a much better price than just the flat 20% off.
So you could still break out hundreds of thousands of cases of gloves and say, give me a bid on 100,000 cases of gloves, right? He usually does that to me.
So we try to do a set price like that. We'll try our best to try to see if we can categorize it and if that would be fruitful for the vendors. We don't have a lot of money to go around when it comes to medical supplies. So the more that we can get for the amount of money that we get budgeted, I think we're better off going that direction. It's only once a year that we do it, that we put this bid out, and they continue to promise us that if they can individually price everything and go right to the vendor to get the best price that possibly they can for us, that's our best bet. And if it's 75 pages, it's saving us a lot of money in the long run on medical supplies.
Okay. Maybe at some point I'll ask you to get a bid with their 75 pages and your 5 pages. And let's see how those numbers come in.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions? Councilman Gebhardt.
I just wanted to clarify something that I think I heard you say. Was it that we would get better pricing if we did itemize or didn't itemize?
If we do itemize the way we do, the other option is to just get a flat discount on everything in the catalog. But they say the vendors that we buy high quantities of and spend lots of money with give us a much better discount because of the volume we're doing with them than the vendor, the manufacturer. Then the vendor just giving us a flat discount.
Got it.
So the way we're doing it is the better way.
By specifying our volume, we get the benefit of the volume purchase.
Correct.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Councilman Gebhardt, could you shut off your light? Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item number 4, engineering services, 2026-077, found on page 99.
Good evening, Chris Moretti, Public Works. Presenting on behalf of the Water Division to recommend engaging in services with Stantec Consulting Services for the Lincoln Avenue Contract Phase 2. So the purpose of this award would be for them to oversee the project, the Contract 2 project. They've already overseen Contract 1. This will require them to go to meetings. They'll have to review any documents. They'll review any invoices. They also prepared the bid specifications and reviewed those and made their recommendations as to who the award should go to. So this will engage them with their engineering services for the next portion of the Lincoln Avenue project.
Christie, why wasn't this included with the original contract award?
This project is going in stages. So we had stage one, and then once they are near completion of that portion of the project, we just awarded stage two at the last council meeting for the contractor to do the work. This wasn't, I don't know, they gave me the proposal, so I took care of the paperwork, but that second project should be commencing probably within the next month or so, so we certainly have time to get Stantec on board.
I mean, either way, the project has to get done. I was just curious as to why it's brought in, under a separate item. Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Thank you, Christie. Hearing none, we're going to move on to item number 5, HVAC Services 2026-050. That's Lionel over here, found on page 104.
Public Works is again requesting to award HVAC services for city-owned buildings to Phalanx Engineering in the amount of $80,000 for a one-year period, beginning August 30th, 25 and expiring August 29th, 26.
Chrissy, how did you arrive at that number of 80,000? What was that based on?
So we recently came back to council and requested an increase on the current bid that we have of $30,000, which caps it out at $110,000. To date, we spent just over $82,000. So we're hoping to stay within the $80,000 spending for the next year, but some buildings we don't have much luck with the heating and the AC. So, but we cover a multitude of buildings as well: animal shelter, city hall. It's the pool, all the city facilities that we're responsible to maintain.
You said the previous bid was your request was 30-some thousand, and you ended up at 82,000?
No, the original, on the current bid that we have right now that's not expired, we requested a cap of $80,000.
Okay.
We just recently came back to increase that cap $30,000 for a total of 110.
Okay. I knew I remembered something about that recently. I just could not put my finger on it. Thank you. Any questions from, yes, Councilman Muto?
Hi, Christie. So just a clarification. So what Councilman Lattiser was asking is, how did you come around the 80,000 if you just came back to us for an overage for another 30,000? How did you come about with the 80,000?
So this is for a new contract award. So this contract doesn't start until August 30th. Yes, August 30th of this year. So the contract that we have currently expires on August 29th. We ran out of spending authority, so we had to come back and ask for additional funds. So we came back and asked for the $30,000. We went back to the $80,000 cap because that is historically what we're comfortable asking for. And then, 9 months from now, if we've, are in the same position where we're coming close to expending the whole thing, we'll be back before the council again requesting an increase. But it doesn't make sense for us to come in and ask for $100,000 right out of the gate.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none. Thank you, Christy. Moving on to computer hardware and related equipment, 2026-061, found on page 110.
Phil Carlucci, IT Director. This is a request under City Ordinance 56-6 for workstations, laptops, tablets, printers, copiers, and computer peripherals for fiscal year 2026 in the amount not to exceed $60,000. This was budgeted under the MIS hardware budget of $25,231. As just a reminder to tell folks that are new to the council, what we do is kind of a mini bid system. We take approved vendors from the state's MPA and from the Massachusetts Higher Education Council, where they've vetted a number of vendors. We take a set of those vendors, and each time we have to make a purchase of a group of PCs because it's such a dynamic market that changes constantly. We go out to bid, take at least three bids, quotes, requests for pricing, whatever you want to call them, and we take the lowest at that point in time, taking into consideration both costs and availability. I did want to request an amendment on this. There was one vendor that I have shared with the City Council that was left off of the list accidentally, and I would like to add it to the approved vendor list. That is B&H Photo Video Incorporated, 420 9th Avenue, New York, New York, 10001. They are a vendor that we have purchased from before. They offer us an amazingly significant discount off of their list price. So we have found on several occasions that it really runs down between CDW and themselves as the best price for available equipment.
And could you just restate that vendor, please?
The name of the vendor is B&H Photo-Video Incorporated, 420 9th Avenue, New York, New York, 10001. They are currently our vendor number 60 for a vendor number.
Okay. Madam Clerk, may I have a PCR number, please? I'm sorry? 7725. Thank you. Okay. Do you have any discussion on PCR 77-25? Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none. Need a motion on PCR 77-25?
Move favorable action.
Second.
Correct.
Motion to amend to add the vendor listed earlier.
B&H Photo-Video Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion to amend. We have a second. All in favor on the
Aye.
amendment? Aye. Please move favorable.
Move
as amended.
favorable action as amended.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item 2020-001, Police and Fire Disability Administrator, found on page 113.
Stephen Rotondo, Human Resources Department. This is a 612 request to extend the Police and Fire Disability Administrator for 3 years. We've negotiated a fixed rate of $17,000 per year for each of the 3 years. That's fixed at the current rate, and that's less than a rate we were paying back in 2020. We were paying more. I contacted the vendor. I asked if they would extend it for a year. They said they would for $18,500 for the year. After some negotiation, we brought it to, if we can agree to a 3-year extension, fixed at $17,000, the current rate for 3 years. I've also conferred with my colleagues in the police and fire departments. They deal with them routinely. And before I entered those negotiations, I discussed it with them, and they're very pleased with the services that are provided.
Director, the reason that this is late coming to us, is that because this was also a budget item? Or was there another reason?
I was negotiating. It would have been sooner, but I started at 1850. We talked, and he has the fellow I'm negotiating with has a corporate board too. He had offer, counter, and I got it as soon as I
Okay.
could.
And does your department have a procedure in place to ensure that these contracts will be coming before us in a timely manner?
You know something, Councilman? No, I don't, but I'm listening to you last meeting and this meeting, and we don't have many, but we endeavor to be timely. You'll see me coming forward with another 612 request very soon for a contract that expires on the 30th, a big one with the health insurance.
Fair enough. So it's a 60-day window that we're looking for. I mean, obviously, and we're not going to complain if it's, 58 days or something of that nature there, but certainly not a week or two before it. So we look forward to, seeing that policy you're going to work on. Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Councilman, first of all, any questions?
No. Okay.
Councilman Ricks.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'd just like to request a PCR on this one so that I may recuse myself from the vote with the full council. Thank you.
78-25. Any other questions from members of the council? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, I need a motion on PCR 78-25.
Move favorable action.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And that takes us to the end of our $50,000 items. I'm sorry, no, we have repair and rebuild hydraulic cylinders. Item number 8. Just bear with me, I put that PCR on the wrong item. And that is found on page 128. Sorry, Christy, go ahead.
Chris Moretti, Public Works. Public Works is requesting to award the bid for repair and rebuild hydraulic cylinders to Tri-Power Sales and Service in the amount of $50,000 for a 2-year period, beginning August 26, 25 and expiring August 25, 27.
And Christy, this one is to us in a timely manner, but does your department have policy in place for ensuring that we'll be getting these contract requests and bid requests in a timely manner?
No.
Okay, you're going to be working on one, I assume?
Well, I'm the only one that does the bids, so I make sure that I do my best to make sure they're submitted in plenty of time.
Okay, then we'll go from there, I guess. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Are there any questions from members of the public? Thank you, Christy. Item number 9 through 26 is beyond the 50.
Number 19, 2025-483.
I do have one that the police department has requested, and we'll get to that one in a minute. Anything else, Councilman? Councilman Muto, any items you want pulled out?
Nope.
Anyone on the committee, any members of the council have anything you would like pulled out? Any members of the public? Is there any items that any members of the public would like to have pulled out? On behalf of the police department, I'm going to pull out bid number 2026-060. Correct. That is item number 11, found on page 146. And Item number 22, I'm going to pull out 2025-274, found on page 199. It's exterior building improvements to Pilgrim Senior Center. Item number 24, 2025-506, found on page 212. And that's all I have. So Councilman Foley, we'll go to the police detail. Major, we'll make the councilman wait. He's been very patient. Go ahead, Major.
Major Andy Sullivan for the Police Department, just requesting a PCR for, let's see here, bid 2026-060 to increase this, the amount of the award from $29,650 to $30,000 even, increase of $350.
And the reason for that, Major?
The reason for that is a late realization that we need to get about 5 more user licenses for our civilian DTS portal due to we're going to be onboarding several people soon. And we don't want to come back later.
Okay, any questions from members of the committee? Question, Councilman Rex.
Pardon me. I meant to ask earlier for item 12 to all sweep hold. No questions on this item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on item number 11? Any questions from members of the public? Do we have any questions from members of the public? This will now become PCR 79-25. Need a motion?
Motion to amend as noted by the speaker.
We have a motion to amend to increase this award from $29,650 to $30,000. We have a second? Second. We have a second. Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move as amended.
Move as amended with favorable action.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Major.
Thank you.
Item number 12, you're going to get pushed back again. Item number 12, 2026-075, probate court advertising, Councilman Ricks. Found on page 150.
Thank you. Just had a question as to why both the Warwick Beacon and Kent County Daily Times are listed on this bid.
They've always been on the bid. You have to hit the entire section. And the Kent County Daily Times hits a little bit more people. And it's less expensive than the Journal.
Okay, so anything that's put in the Kent County Daily Times would also be circulated in the Beacon?
Correct. The ads that go in for probate are advertised the same week in the Kent County Daily Times and in the Warwick Beacon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That answers all my questions.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Foley, item number 19, found on page 191. You must be patient.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My question is procedurally, I've requested the 2 speed signs. Where they are located, is that based on a traffic study? I know I made recommendations.
So,
Do you know?
so we will coordinate with the police department. You had indicated that you wanted them on Squantum Drive, correct? You indicated that you wanted them on Squantum? Yes, so we'll coordinate the location with the police department.
Okay, thank you. That's all I was needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, item 22, exterior building improvements, Pilgrim Senior Center, found on page 199. Christie, on one of these estimates, you have, or somebody has, items included, men's room, cut out, recaulk, scrape and paint affected area to match existing. What happened that generated an additional work order for this?
So this is exterior work, and as they were moving along in the exterior work that they're doing on the building, they're obviously, as they're like removing and replacing and fixing things, they've identified some areas that also need some attention that were not visible to the naked eye. Once they opened up, took down the soffit or whatever they did, they said, oh, this needs to be fixed, but it wasn't part of the scope of work at that point. So we're asking to have it done before we don't want them to close it up and then the work is still unfinished.
And what was the work that they were contracted to do, the exterior work? What was it they were contracted to do?
I'm going to have Eric explain that. I don't know specifically.
Okay, sure. Mhm.
Eric Earls, Public Works. So primarily, we're working on the step flashing on the building and then repointing, resealing the masonry. That was the primary work they were doing. So the investigation that we had conducted regarding leaking in the building, which was a primary concern, identified the flashing as the biggest issue, and also the issue with the mortar joints and that kind of thing. While they were out there doing that work, they identified these other areas, and so while they're there, we figured address it rather than having to remobilize someone else and get that taken care of.
And these other areas that they identified, these are something different than flashing and mortar joints and that sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Some of the work is actually, they identified some issues inside the building, which wasn't part of the original scope, but obviously you wouldn't want to address that until you fixed what was happening outside the building. Like water intrusion had created issues inside the building. Now that they've eliminated that from the outside, some of that work to fix what's going on in the inside is going to be done as well.
So is some of this additional monies for the interior repairs as well?
Yes.
Okay. Does any of this, there's a couple other pages here, but does any of this, these change orders, does that have anything to do with the windows?
No.
Okay. In the community room, cut out, recaulk, scrape and paint affected areas. So cut out, to me, that is either removing mortar joints, or it's removing glazing, it's removing dimonic sealants, etc. What are they cutting out that is an add-on?
Yeah, I believe it's whatever the ceiling is on the inside of the window, that the water had come in and kind of degraded that. So they're going to clean that up, take that out, recaulk it. So yeah, I guess to some degree it's part of the windows, but not the structural window itself.
The windows have not been changed yet?
No.
Okay. And not all the windows are being changed either, if I recall, right? I think there's some...
We don't have a proposal to do the windows, no.
Okay. In the... Never mind, that's the next one. Okay, that's all I have on that, Eric. Thank you for those clarifications. The next item is item number 24, 2025-506, material testing and observation services, found on page 212.
Major Sullivan for the police department.
Thank you, Major. So this is, it's about the new metal building that we're putting up over there, et cetera. So why weren't these items included as part of that scope of work?
So I think we didn't include it in the original bid, and we thought we could just add them as a vendor, but I guess because of the ARPA money, it was designated by December 31st of this past calendar year, so it couldn't be added at that point or at this point, so this is why we had to do it this way. And it's not something the original contractor can do because it's not independent per se to have them sub it out.
I'm confused with the numbers too. So in the, next to the last paragraph, it says, we are requesting to increase the spending authority on this bid from $2,317.44 to $7,500, an increase of $51.82.56. However, the only bill that I find in here is in the amount of $2,317.44.
Where do you see, the 7,000?
I'm sorry?
Did you say 7,000? I don't see that.
Yeah. It says, we are requesting to increase the spending authority on this bid from $2,317.44 to $7,500, an increase of $51.82.56 to complete this work. I don't understand.
So
where
it's
that
total
number's
spending
coming from.
authority, because the 231744 was already paid, because it was below the 2,500 that went through purchasing. And then, so we need the additional, we anticipate additional testing services, which we know we're going to have additional testing services that are going to push it over well over 2,500.
So how do you know? How can you be sure that, because there is no other estimates in here. The only thing that I see is this invoice of 231744. There's no other estimates, there's no other description of anything else that has to be done over there. How do you know that it's going to be $5,182.56?
So Deputy Lima had discussed with Cole what the anticipated additional testing would cost upon completion of the project. And that's where we came up with that figure.
So you do have a written estimate on those items?
I can't speak if it's written. I know the Deputy Lima had talked to Cole, and they were confident that would be within the spending authority.
Okay. So if you could send the background of how someone arrived at 5182.56 for me. I'm not going to hold this up, but I would like to see how that number came about and based on what. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that clears up the issue I had on the math problem. That's all I have. Anyone else have anything else with regard to the bid package? Okay. So on the bid package, I need a motion.
Favorable action.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to PCR 75-25, formerly 2023-154, work boots. And just to refresh everybody's memory, there was some questions about the numbers and how we arrived at those particular items. We have received some adjustments, and I don't know who's going to present. Is it Chief, are you going to present? And Director, if you could speak right into the mic, please. Thank you.
We sent you some information and revised our original estimate, really to bring this to closure, to pay for the current fiscal year increases in the cost of boots because of the change in the contract. To refresh memories, The contract, the collective bargaining agreement had a provision to pay $70 per year per employee for a pair of boots, and there was about 109 or 102 people eligible. The new collective bargaining agreement changed the price from 70 to 150 is reimbursable for boots, and added some more people. And so that resulted in us paying more this year than we had in the last 2 years. And then we took what we owe right now, I added a cost for a few more boots because people do have until June 30th to pick them up, to order. And that's what came up with this, the latest amount, which is $3,442.
Okay, I did quite a bit of digging into this, and for anyone who may not have understood some of the stuff, which I didn't, but the chief was kind enough to explain it. On the printouts that the chief had sent us, we have several different invoices. And on these invoices, it shows cash refund payments, and it shows a credit for those. Initially, I took those credits to be some type of a discount. And because the numbers fluctuated so much between one invoice and the other, that's what made me ask even more questions. And just for everyone's edification, those refund payments that you see on those invoices, that is actually the difference between the cost of the work boots and the 150 cap that is applied there. So someone buys boots for 140 instead of 150, it would show a $10 credit. So all of that was confirmed by the chief earlier today. The other thing that can be confusing, I added up 11 pages of invoices that we have for these boots. That was part of the confusion with the numbers. Some of the numbers weren't making sense at the last meeting. So because we have received this information now, I came up with a total on these 11 pages of 154 boots. But what it shows is there are oftentimes someone has two different items as part of that purchase. So the name is actually listed twice. So the account is correct. These purchases for, as of March 2025, they are correct, and that's just for your information on these invoices. Is there anything else, Director or Chief, that you want to add to this?
Bill Facenti, Chief of Staff to Mayor Picozzi. In addition to the increase in spending authority for 2025, we would like the council to extend the contract an additional 2 years, each year $22,350. And that number is arrived by taking the total number of potential eligible employees, multiplying it by $150. So that's if all 149 employees were to purchase boots in the fiscal year. That's what it would cost.
Okay. So essentially what you're looking for is you're looking for a motion from us to approve $3,442 plus spending authority for 26 and 27 in the amount of 48,000, I'm sorry, for total amount of $48,142.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? Any questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Are there any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Move favorable action.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for favorable. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next item, under new business. Sir?
That
Oh,
that was
sorry.
on making the amendment, correct? The vote you just took was to amend the
I
item?
didn't interpret it as an amendment. So I interpreted it as their ask was, and, perhaps we need to clarify it better if you'd like, but their ask was to increase their spending authority by $3,442 as item number one, and item number two, to extend this bid for a 2-year bid. And the total of those items is $48,142. So tell me what you want me to do.
I may have misunderstood the communication. Chief, is the 612 request is the only thing, so there's no amendment to the item as drafted and presented before us?
Can you just repeat the question, please?
The resolution before us notes that it's a 612 change that you're seeking to increase from 21,420 to 81,190 and extend from 2025 to 2027. I'm just confirming that the PCR, the document in front of us, is accurate to your understanding and to the committee's recommendation.
That's correct. That's correct, Mom.
Okay, thank you.
So Solicitor, so the total amount that we're approving for this 2-year bid, including the increase in 2025, would be $48,142, correct?
This is part of the confusion. The item before me shows 59,770.
All right, hold on one second. Chief, if I remember correctly, I think the information that you sent to us was to increase the original bid because of the change in the contract from $70 a boot to $150 in the 3rd year of the contract. And that year that we're talking about resulted in an additional $3,442. So I think the solicitor is correct with this.
They were asking for more.
Yeah, you're actually asking for $3,442 more.
But actually less from the original. The original was 59,770. Now they're down to 48,140. They had dropped that down. Oh, they did drop it down?
Last time. Well, at the end of the day, all we're approving is that.
But I guess the question is originally, last council meeting was for 59,770.
Councilman, you're right. It pains me to say that. But the previous dollar amount for FY25 was incorrect. So we're only asking for the $3,442 for FY25. 26 and 27 remains the same. So it is the 48,142.
Right. So how do you want to word this?
Chairman, my recommendation would be to make an amendment to PCR 7525, changing the contract award amount. It currently shows 59,770. It would be to reduce that to be the total of 48,142.
Do we need to reflect any of these other numbers in there? The 3442?
No, those would be updated with that amendment.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion on PCR 7525, first with an amendment. What's that reduction?
To amend the contract award from 59,770 to 48,142.
Motion to amend as noted.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Solicitor.
Now we have to vote.
Now we have to vote on
Move
PCR
favorable action.
7525 as amended.
Move favorable action as amended.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. PCR 7525 passes. All Okay, now we'll go to new business. Item number 1, PCO 15-25, an ordinance providing that employee contributions to the OPEB trust reduce the city's required contribution. Council President Sinapi on behalf of Mayor Picozzi.
I'll leave it to the administration to explain.
We discussed this at the budget hearings, and the council enacted this long-term plan for OPEB funding. It didn't contemplate that there would be employee contributions. Now, the administration was successful in negotiating employee contributions. In the absence of that, the appropriation would have been about $1.5 million. We expect to collect close to $600,000 from employee contributions this year. This fiscal year, it will be more the following year because it's a phase-in up to 2%. So that this just aligns us with what the council appropriated by deducting the over 500,000 employee contributions from what we would have paid. We're going to be paying the same amount into the OPEB trust that we would have contemplated under the ordinance. This just allows us to substitute employee contributions for employer contributions.
So I'm not clear. Just using round numbers, the employees are going to be contributing 2% of their salary to OPEB. That contribution, whatever the number is, will be reduced off the taxpayer's liability.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I remember a few years ago maybe, where, and actually I mentioned this during the budget hearing, where the city had stated that they were going to be contributing $5 million to the OPEB fund. And as a result of that contribution, supposed contribution, I believe that had a pretty strong result in reducing our unfunded liability requirements. So has that $5 million, has that been paid to the OPEB?
Yes, there's $5.3 million in the OPEB trust right now, based upon the earlier contributions that were made and what we've made. I just got the statement today, actually. I grabbed it off Lynn's desk, she gets it, but...
So is that a yes, that the $5 million that was discussed as a payment into OPEB, is that a yes, that it was made? You told me it's 5.3. Is that of that 5.3, is that 5 million part of it?
It includes everything that's been contributed plus investment earnings. I think we've earned over 7%. It's an irrevocable trust. It's held by the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust, an intermediary, which invests the funds. And there's now approximately 5.3 million in the OPEB trust.
So my question is, did the city contribute $5 million into the OPEB trust fund as was discussed last year or the year before?
Yes.
That resulted in our reduction of the way...
Yeah, the answer is yes, but it's a combination of what the city transferred and the investment earnings on top of that.
So it wasn't $5 million?
It was a little bit under $5 million that's been...
What was the investment income?
7.6%.
Okay.
I don't have the statement in front of me, but it's been done pretty well. It's a balanced fund. It's partly bonds, partly equities.
So it's fair to say that it was not 5 million, it's something less than 5 million, but we're not sure.
4.7 million, something like that.
Can you check into that for me and send me
sure.
what was contributed of that $5 million commitment that resulted in the reduction that we received in our OPEB liabilities or responsibilities? You know which one I mean.
I understand your question. I'll do the best I can.
Fine.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the committee on PCO 15-25? Councilman Ricks.
Thank you. One thing that confuses me a little bit about this is that when I compare the presentation that Joe Newton of GRS Retirement Consulting provided and the budget, it seems that the pension contributions, those amounts as stated in the budget, that is the proposed budget that the City Council reviewed, passed this last May, the pension contributions all match up to what the city is actually contributing. But with the OPEB, we're counting or proposing to count the employee contributions as a credit towards the amount that's stated in the budget. And so I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, that as to the pensions, the amounts stated in the budget, those are not including the amounts that the employees are contributing directly, correct?
Well, when the actuary comes up with a number for pension contributions, forgetting the OPEB trust, they're also calculating how much the employees are contributing. They never did this on the OPEB trust because we didn't have any authority to collect employee contributions. Now we have such authority through the collective bargaining. So now it's a new number, and this ordinance reflects deducting the employee contribution from what the city would be required to contribute.
Okay, so in the future, it would be accounted for in that similar manner, is what I'm understanding?
I would say it's consistent with how the actuary deals with our pension contributions.
Okay, and the adoption of this ordinance, would that do anything to affect the proposed structure going forward that GRS had presented, which would involve the proposal to contribute $7 million more or less into OPEB in fiscal year 2027, which largely consists of money that would no longer be contributed by the city into the municipal pension?
Well, that's a big number, as you know, for fiscal year 27. And we're borrowing a lot of money to build 2 high schools. So I'm not going to tell you that the administration's not going to have some alternative proposal. We've been through in fiscal year 27. 26, this addresses the issue in fiscal year 26. You also know from previous hearings here that we're going to be getting a big retroactive lump sum payment from the state once the schools are constructed. So there's different options we're considering, but it's going to be a big number next year. And I don't want to tell you that we're absolutely 100% committed to making that contribution in fiscal year 27. It's premature for me to.
Let's stay on topic. Let's stay on topic of the bid, please, not the schools. Okay. Not that I
Okay,
disagree with
I'll, one moment.
This will meet the pledge that the actuary was just coming from 2 different sources instead of 1 source. For fiscal year 26, we're still going to be contributing $1.5 million, which is what the actuary required to meet the ordinance plan. It's just going to be coming from 2 sources, 1 city contribution and the employee contributions. And the employee contributions will go up again in fiscal year 27, because then the 2% threshold will have been met for the whole year.
Okay. Reviewing the draft of the ordinance, I think I've answered my own question, and any other questions that I have are a little bit beyond the scope of what's been publicly advertised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ricks. Any other questions from members of the council? Do we have any questions from members of the public? Are there any questions from members of the public? Hearing none, I need a motion for first passage on PCO 15-25.
Move favorable action.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And it is 6:21, and Finance Committee is adjourned. Thank you.
Next up is the Ordinance Committee.
I talked to Phil on a little bit, and I'm going to try and come in maybe Wednesday.
Two, and the Ordinance Committee is in session. First order of business is acceptance of the committee minutes held meeting from June 2nd, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0, favorable action. Okay, first order of business, PCO 14-25, an ordinance amending Section 2-16 of the Code of Ordinances to codify the City of Warwick's tax classification provided in the Rhode Island General Laws. This is up for second passage. Any questions or comment from the members of the committee? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the full council? Any questions or comments from the members of the public or from the administration? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Move. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, second passage is recommended. Second order of business, PCO 6-25, an ordinance to prohibit through trucking on Orchard Avenue. This is docketed by Council President Sinapi, up for second passage. I'll defer to Council President. Any questions or comments from you?
Can this be held to the August 18th meeting, please?
Okay, I have a request to hold. Do I have a motion? Move to hold. Second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, PCO 6-25 is held to the meeting August 2nd. And seeing no further business before this committee, we stand.
August 18th, by the way.
August 18th. Strike that, August 18th. Any objection to that correction? No whatsoever. Okay, we stand adjourned at 6:24. Committee.
Good evening. Intergovernmental comes to order at 6:25 p.m. First order of business is acceptance of the minutes from the committee meeting held on June 2nd, 2025.
Motion to move favorable action.
All right, thank you. 3, 6, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, first up is PCR 1625, resolution amending the rules of the Warwick City Council for the 25-26 term per request of the sponsor. this will be held until the 7th, if no objection.
No objection.
No objection. Okay.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. And do we have to motion on that? Can I have a motion to recommend?
Motion to hold to July 7th?
7th, yeah, 7th.
7/7.
Okay, 3, 6, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That concludes ordinance. Intergovernmental.
Next up is the Public Properties Land Use Committee and Community Affairs.
Jessica?
Jessica. You went back, she spoke. That was good.
The City Council Committee on Public Properties, Land Use, and Community Affairs comes to order at 6:27 PM. First up, acceptance of minutes from the committee meeting held on June 2nd, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Move favorable action.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The one item on the docket, PCR 35-25, resolution supporting the establishment of a Rhode Island War Dog and Police Canine Memorial at Warwick City Park. This is primarily sponsored by Councilman Muto. I believe that every member of the council has signed on as a co-sponsor. Councilman Muto, recommendation?
Thank you. We're recommending, positive action on this. Give you a little background. The VFW approached me several months ago looking to do a memorial for war dogs as well as canine officers, and they're asking permission to use public land, but we are supporting the resolution of coming up with a planning group for the VFW to plan and recommend and design and also fundraise to build this memorial at no taxpayer expense.
Thank you. And I believe I heard you state that this would all be done at no expense to the taxpayers.
Exactly.
Seems like a fantastic idea. And with Warwick City Park, great location for it in Ward 6. Questions, comments, members of the committee? Questions, comments, members of the council? Any further questions, comments, members of the public? Please come up and identify yourself for the record.
My name is Richard Langseth. I live at Budlong Farm in Warwick. And I just want to remind everybody that the reason for the city park is because Henry Budlong donated Budlong Farm to the state as a state park. And then 150 campers got together and raised the money to donate land for part of City Park. So we need to recognize the fact that there were trustees and donors in the past. We want to make sure that public use of the city property always goes back to the donation of Mr. Budlong, who also donated the library over here. I just wanted to remind you of all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, members of the public? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Move favorable action.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Councilman Kirby. All in favor?
Aye.
There being no further business of this committee, the committee adjourns at 6:31 p.m.
That concludes committees. Next up is the full council meeting, which can begin at this time.
All right, council will convene at 6:31 p.m. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Snappy.
Here.
Mr. DeLuise.
Here.
Mr. Foley. Mr. Gephardt.
Here.
Mr. Kirby. Mr. Kirby. Mr. Lattiser. Mr. Muto.
Here.
Mr. Napa.
Here.
Mr. Ricks. 9 present.
Councilman Lattiser, please lead us in the salute to the flag.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose light shines and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
First up, we have general communications. So announcements of congratulations, condolences, or community events. Does anyone have anything for general communications? Seeing none, on to executive communications. There are none. Acceptance of minutes from the council meeting held on June 2nd, 2025. Does anyone have any objection to accepting said minutes? Seeing none, said minutes are accepted. And then next we have public comment, Rule 41. After general communications and prior to the consent calendar at the last regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council each month, there shall be a period of time not to exceed 30 minutes during which citizens may comment about Warwick city government issues subject to the following stipulations. The total period of time for public comment shall not exceed 30 minutes. Comments need to be brief in order to allow as many citizens as possible to participate. Each citizen signed up and present shall have not to exceed 5 minutes to speak, provided, however, that if more than 6 citizens are signed up and present, the 30 minutes will be split evenly amongst speakers. Time shall not be transferable amongst speakers. The topics for comment shall be issues directly affecting city government. City council members will not respond to questions during the public comment period. The public comment session will terminate at the expiration of the earlier of all speakers concluding their allotted time or 30 minutes. Waiver of this provision requires a unanimous vote of the council. So first up is Richard Langseth. I can.
Richard Langseth, Budlong Farm. On Thursday, I asked an APRA request of the city of Warwick. Commander Jabro made a motion to request the city adopt a formal opinion on whether Buttonwoods Avenue is a public highway and right-of-way to the water, seconded by Scott and Olivia, approved unanimously. My request was documents to and from the mayor's office and the planning department regarding this motion. That was made in March, okay? Now, I also asked for documents to and from the mayor's office and the city solicitor requesting and scheduling that formal opinion. In other words, 3 months ago, Commander Jarbo, in his wisdom, thought that the city should figure out whether Buttonwoods Avenue is public or private. Okay. I also asked for the opinion. I got a response today from the city clerk, and the response is the minutes of the meeting in March. Understand that these are federal funds we're dealing with here. The Harbor Management Plan is a very important process. The Harbor Management Commission in Warwick is one of the most important agencies that we have. Commander Jarbo gives his time from his job at the EPA to enhance our harbors and access to them. And what I got today was a big, you know what? What is going on here? Federal funds are at stake. Now, what's going to happen now is we're going to go to the Sea Grant program, okay? This is all funded by the Sea Grant. We're going to go to the Sea Grant program. They have a lawyer who used to be a senior staff member for Senator Whitehouse, okay? She sits over there now at the Roger Williams Law School, coming from Maine, where she studied the same kinds of things that I'm talking about here. Now, is she going to respond? I would think that the city planning department would make an effort to work with me, to go to her, to get her to write the opinion. Obviously, the mayor does not want to use his solicitor, nor do I want him to. The city solicitor 20 years ago totally botched this. The city is extremely compromised when it comes to the Buttonwoods Fire District. They don't even want to know that it exists. They want to think that because they don't fund the roads are private. That is just total BS. And I wish that, I don't understand why the city council can't disengage itself from this 50 years of argument about private Buttonwoods. It is clearly not private. We're going to have a summary judgment hearing before the CRMC in July, and I'm confident that the CRMC will adopt my position that it is a public highway. City planning knows this. They're well aware of everything. The Buttonwoods Fire District knows it. I keep them totally in the loop. The Buttonwood Beach Association knows it. They have a lawyer who's going against me. Good luck. So why can't we put our adult pants on and deal with this in an adult way rather than screwing around, sending me answers that are just the minutes of the meeting that happened over 3 months ago? I really don't get it. And I'll tell you something, I am more heated over this than anything that has happened in the city of Warwick in the last 50 years. This is just awful. And I bring my tribal experience, I bring my government experience. To me, when an admiral, when a captain, when a commander does something, I listen. Thank you.
Next up is James Perry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jim Perry. I live at 48 Fairfield Court in Warwick. I'm here. It's actually my first city council meeting. I've lived in the city for 23 years. I've never had any issues with any of the city services, from police, fire, anything. We had a rainy season. I have a drain in front of my house that absolutely does not drain right. And when the cars come by, they splash it, and it's eroding my lawn. I pay a lot of money. I have it professionally fertilized every year, landscaped every week. I keep my property up. Like I said, 23 years, never been here, but I had to come here tonight. I reached out to the highway department over 3 weeks ago, left my name and number. Nobody calls you back. They didn't fix it. They don't call you. I spoke to Betty in the mayor's office a week ago. She was calling. Nobody called me. I spoke to Sue in the mayor's office today. Nobody's called, nothing. So that's why I'm here. I live in Ward 4, so I'm looking for some help with it. This is going on a month now. I'm not asking for much. Check the drain, clean it, put some stone, fix it. I'm just tired of my yard getting ruined. It's not right. I pay my taxes. My taxes are going up a lot in July. I just want services like I get from the rest of the city. But highway, I don't know what it is with the highway department. They're horrible. They're horrible. It takes 2 seconds to call me back and go over the matter, and that's all I'm asking, but I can't get it. So that's why I'm here. It's right, not right. Like I said, 23 years, never been here once. Here I am. So I just hope somebody can look into this matter for me. It baffles my mind that nobody can reach out to a taxpayer. And thank you.
Rob Cody.
Rob Cody, Ward 7. I got a couple comments. First, in May of 2019, after I exposed the fire department unused sick pay scheme, Mayor Solomon stopped the fire department scheme where the members absconded hundreds of thousands of dollars from the taxpayers. I came before this body in May of 2019, and I told you that we would see an immediate spike in overtime as the members of the department would then engage in a revolving sick out to make up for the monies that they stole during the unused sick pay scheme. That, in fact, is exactly what happened, and all the documents show exactly that. Immediately, the sick time went from $1.7 million annually to $6 million, and now is leveled off at approximately $4.6 million. Now I'm here, I'm going to tell you about the next scheme that is planned, and you can count on this happening. If the no tax on tips and overtime bill is passed by Congress, we're going to see another massive increase in sick time and in overtime, and here's why. Here's what's going to happen. And I can tell you it's already being orchestrated. According to the last documents I got from my APRA request, the department had banked 22,845 unused sick days, which amounted to about $12.6 million. Presently, upon retirement in the banking of 140 sick days, members get to pay out at 75% of the unused time in a lump sum. If this bill passes, you will see what the members will do. They'll begin to drain down their unused sick pay bank, and instead of getting paid 75% of the value, they'll be paid at 100% of the value. And upon each sick day that's taken, another member of the department will come in at overtime, which if this bill passes, will now be tax-free. That is the incentive to once again concoct a scheme to steal from the taxpayers. It will happen because the department knows that no one has held them accountable for ripping us off in the past, and this administration to date has taken no steps to curb this activity of these revolving sick outs. Secondly, at the last public comment period during the budget hearings, Mr. Sinapi stated to Mr. Cook that if he repeats anything that anyone else in the public has said, or if he is redundant, that he will interrupt him from speaking. He further went on to state, and I quote, "I run the meeting and I will decide what I feel is redundant or repetitive." Mr. Sinapi, not only do you not have the authority to make that statement or invoke such actions, but that was a direct threat to Mr. Cook's First Amendment rights. No council rule allows you to do any such thing. Frankly, I am alarmed over your comment and also of the fact that you were instrumental. In fact, one could actually say that you were the architect to change the council rules, to institute rules to limit the public time in speaking. I find that ironic since, in fact, you sued the Rhode Island Bar Association demanding extra time in a private room to take your bar exam. It would appear that you have a double standard.
Your
Finally,
comments have to pertain to city business. My litigation practices outside this walls are not city business.
Finally,
please continue.
I'm glad you interrupted me. Finally, to my councilman from Ward 7. In 20 years, Ward 7 has had 3 council members, Donovan, Usler, and McAllister. Over that 20-year period, those council members never asked one question or objected to any expenditure that came before this council. Not one question. Their silence was deafening when it came to looking out for the taxpayers' dollars. My advice to you is this. Your constituents will know that you understand the topic, the expenditures, the contracts, and the budgets, and the impact to the taxpayer if you are vocal about these matters. If you sit silent like those council members before you, we will not only know if you truly understand the matters or if you are just going along to get along. I hope that you do your due diligence to put the appropriate amount of time into these matters. And if there is something that you don't understand, please be vocal and ask questions. There will be several people that will come to your aid. That's why you were elected, to make an argument on behalf of the taxpayers. Thank you.
All right, that concludes Rule 41 public comment. Next, we have the consent calendar, PCR 76-25, resolution relative to bids. This is Finance, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action on PCR 76-25.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion regarding the, well, actually, Councilman Lattiser,
I'm sorry?
back to you.
I can't hear you.
Review the items that are still on the consent calendar.
Sure. Okay. So you want me to do the consent calendar first? Okay. So we'll start with the PCRs.
It's a waste of time.
Is this any different than we've always done? Okay.
No.
So we're going to start with the bids. Item number 1, 2026-070, found on page 1. Item 2026-063, Munis support and licensing. Item 3, 2026-36 Alpha, medical supplies. Item 4, 2026-077, engineering services. Item 5, HVAC services. Item number 7, skip. Item number 8, 2026-049, repair and rebuild hydraulic cylinders. Number 9, 2026-076, municipal court. Number 10, 2026-062, contract services. Number 12, 2026-075, probate court advertising. 13, 2026-074, city clerk. Item 14, 2025-074, multi-gas detection. Item number 15, 2026-071, service and maintenance of striker equipment. Item 16, 2026-036 Bravo, medical supplies and medication. 2026-078 Warwick Police Youth Leadership Camp. Item number 18, 2026-066 Celebrate. Number 2025-483 purchase 2 solar speed signs. Number 2026-067 marine boat diesel fuel. Item number 21, 2026-073 codification of city council ordinance. 22, number 2025-274 exterior building improvements. Number 23, 2025 purchase 2 life packs. Number 24, 2025-506 material testing. 25, number 2026-072 stenographer services. Number 26, item 2023-242 State of Rhode Island office supplies. And that completes it.
So it's moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the consent calendar? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll on the consent calendar.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt? Yes. Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muto?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
9 yes, consent passes.
All right, Councilman Lattiser, any items removed from the consent calendar?
Yes, we have item number 6, 2026-061, computer hardware, and it now becomes PCR 77-25 with an amendment.
All right, anyone want to move the amendment for discussion?
A move favorable action on the amendment to add a vendor, the name being B as in Bravo, H as in Hotel, Photo-Video Incorporated.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll on the amendment.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
9 yes to amend.
Move favorable action on PCR 77-25 as amended.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
9 yes, motion passes.
The solicitor stole my agenda.
The next item is item number 7, 2020-001, has now become PCR 78-25.
All right, for action, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action on PCR 78-25.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any questions or comments? My understanding is that this was pulled off so someone could recuse. So clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Recuse.
8 yes, 1 recusal, motion passes.
Next item is number 11, 2026-060, police detail. And there is an amendment, and it has become PCR 79-25. And I will move the amendment to increase the spending authority from $29,650 to $30,000.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Are there any questions regarding the amendment? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks? 9 yes to amend.
Move favorable action as amended on PCR 79-25.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Are there any questions? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
Yes.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
9 yes, as amended.
All right, that brings us to unfinished business, PCO 14-25, an ordinance amending Section 2-16 of the Code of Ordinances to codify the City of Warwick's tax classification plan in RIGL 44-5-67.1 through 44-5-67.2. This is second passage for action ordinance.
Committee recommended favorable passage on the second passage
So for action, Councilman Napa.
and move favorable action.
Motion made by Councilman Napa, seconded by Councilman Foley. Any questions or comments? Councilman Lattiser.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As I have in the past, I will be supporting this item, and particularly because this is something that will have to come back to the City Council for action before it can be implemented. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Oh, I know why. All right. If there's no further questions or comments, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Sinapi?
Yes.
Mr. DeLuise?
No.
Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Gephardt?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lattiser?
Yes.
Mr. Muno?
Yes.
Mr. Napa?
Yes.
Mr. Ricks?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
Next is PCO 6-25, an ordinance to prohibit through trucking on Orchard Ave. The request is to hold this till August 18th. Is there any objection thereto? Seeing none, it is so held. Next is PCR 16-25, resolution amending the rules of the Warwick City Council for the 2025-2026 term. Request is to hold this till to July 7th. Is there any objection thereto? Seeing none, so held. Next is PCR 75-25, 2023-154, work boots. This is Finance, Councilman Lattiser.
Committee recommends favorable action with an amendment.
For action, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action with the following amendment.
I think the solicitor's about to tell you, you're going to
Sure.
move the amendment first.
Go ahead.
The amendment was to reduce the amount from 59,770 to become 48,142.
Correct.
All right, so you're.
That's a motion.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any questions or comments on the amendment? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Move favorable action on PCR 75-25 as amended.
Seconded by Councilman Muto. Any questions? Seeing none, clerk will call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next, new business, PCO 15-25, an ordinance providing that employee contributions to the OPEB trust reduce the city's required contribution. This will be first passage, Finance.
Committee recommends favorable action on PCO 15-25.
For action, Councilman Lattiser.
Move favorable action on PCO 15-25, first passage.
And I saw the second from Councilman Muto. Are there any questions or comments? Councilman Ricks.
I'll try to say briefly, I think it's very important that we stick with the plan set forth by GRS Retirement Consultants. I see this particular amendment as consistent with that plan. I would be hesitant about any deviations from that plan unless we are highly confident that it's not going to jeopardize the city's long-term future. For those reasons, I'm comfortable voting yes on this particular ordinance. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And lastly, PCR 35-25, resolution supporting the establishment of a Rhode Island War Dog and Police Canine Memorial at Warwick City Park. Public properties.
Committee recommends favorable action.
For action, Councilman Muto.
Yes.
Sounds like a motion for favorable action.
Second.
Second it. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk will please call the roll. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Does anyone have anything for unanimous consent? Is that a yes?
Mr. President, this isn't unanimous consent, but I think I need to make a correction on a recent comment. I believe that I had PCO 14-25 confused with a different item regarding taxes. This item, I do not believe contains any provisions that it comes before the city council for vote. Council Solicitor, is that correct?
This is PCO 1425.
Correct.
cleans up our ordinances to align with the statute that is pending before the governor right now, to align those things together. So
Right.
there would be no further action.
I had a different item in my mind. Thank you.
Do you wish to alter your vote or anything like that?
No, my vote
All right.
will stay, just to make that clarification.
Understood. All right, is there anything for unanimous consent? All right, seeing none, does anyone want to move us to the docket session? Councilman Foley? Seconded by Councilman Napa. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, docketing session, Ward 1. Ward 2. Ward 3.
Pass.
Ward 4.
Pass.
Ward 5.
Pass.
Ward 6. Ward 7.
Pass.
Ward 9. All right, and I just have one resolution in regards to the Caracuzo claim. Public safety? All right. We stand adjourned at 7:01 p.m. Wow. And thanks to Councilman Councilman DeLuise, we were able to actually meet and finish by 7:02. Look at that.
All right, yeah. Okay, I thought so. Billy, I was thinking of the one that we sent to the General Assembly.